course it was the doll. This is why I don't like dolls. Nope. Nope, 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 no, no, you need to watch this. There's some pictures at the end, so make sure you watch the whole thing, please, or like don't, I don't know, but it's...
I debated for a long time on if I even wanted to tell this story because, quite frankly, every time I tell it, it just creeps me out all over again. So I kind of try to just not think about it. But a few years ago, our family experienced one of the scariest things I've ever experienced in my nearly 37 years of life. So back in 2020, my oldest son had just turned 3 around this time. And up until this point, he had been an amazing sleeper. He was the type of kid who you could say, okay, Lawson, it's bedtime. And he'd take himself to his room. He'd soothe himself to sleep. He was a great sleeper. He slept all through the night. And I guess kind of to backtrack, it's maybe mildly important. I don't know how big of a role this doll really plays into the story or if she's just a coincidence, but I had received a doll from an aunt that had been passed down in my family. Originally, it belonged to my great-great-grandmother and kind of cycled through every girl in our family. Everybody hates this doll. It's also important to note. Everybody always claimed that this doll is haunted. I didn't know how much I really believed that. Yes, it's creepy because it's an old creepy doll. And I'll see if I can find a picture of it and post it at the end of this video. But when it ended up with us, my oldest son did love this doll, played with it all the time, talked to it all the time. And not long after he started interacting with this doll, did all of this happen. So anyway, one night he has a terrible nightmare. He's screaming, crying, won't go back to sleep, needs me or my husband with him. So I go to him, I lay down with him in his room, and I'm like, it's okay, buddy, you know, I'm here, I'm gonna lay with you, I'll be with you tonight, you don't have to be scared. And the whole time I'm laying with him, trying to get him to go back to sleep, he is like staring over my shoulder off into the corner of his room. And I go to turn my head to see what he's staring at, and he stops my face with his hands. He's like, no, mommy, don't look at him. He's really scary. So I'm like, all right, let's go lay down in my bed. So I carry him and all of his things. We go lay down in my bed. And he's still just not very settled, still seems really shaken up. I'm like, buddy, you're in mommy and daddy's bed. You're safe now. It's fine. Let's go back to sleep. He's like, I know, but now he's staring at me from over there, a corner in my room. And this is just the beginning of a situation that went on for nearly a year. So after this, almost every single night, he's having terrible nightmares, and it gets to a point where he absolutely refuses to go in he won't even go in his room to play. He won't even go in his room to get a toy out if there's a toy in there that he wants. He will not go in his room alone. And he's also telling us in vivid detail the same story every single night, that he is seeing something crawl out of his closet and stand by his window, which is right next to his bed, and it's staring at him like this. And he says it's trying to eat him. He tells us this every single night, and this goes on for months and months. We're all exhausted. None of us are sleeping well because of this. And one night, I remember that we have leftover holy water from Lawson's baptism. So I'm like, you know what? We don't have anything to lose at this point. So I sprinkle it around his room. I create like a whole barrier around his bed, basically, just to see what happens. Like I said, we had nothing to lose at this point. And believe it or not, he actually slept better that night. But My youngest son, who was just a baby at the time, he has a horrible night sleeping. He's up screaming, seems scared, creeped out, whatever. And then the next day, when I have to take Lawson to preschool, he refuses to go. And typically he loved school at this time, but he refuses to go because he does not want his baby brother left alone. He is terrified and makes me promise that I won't leave his baby brother alone in his bedroom. I have to be with him all day. And I have to promise him, like, buddy, he's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be with him the whole time. He won't be left alone. Like, everything's gonna be okay. And at this point, you know, I'm really freaked out at this point. I had also taken a picture of my husband on the monitor in Lawson's bedroom, where he had been laying on the floor holding Lawson's hand, trying to help him fall asleep. And I didn't notice it until after I took the picture, but you can see like the shadow of a hand or a claw like holding my husband's shoulder as he holds Lawson's hand, trying to help him fall asleep. And I'll post that picture too, but that, even just thinking about it, gave me the worst chills, like just to my core, freaked me out. This was also around the time that filter was trending on TikTok, where people were kind of walking around their house with this filter, and then if the temperature changed colors, that was supposed to show you if your house was haunted or not. And so of course I'm like, oh, just for shits and giggles, let's see what pops up on here. I take it in Lawson's bedroom, not seeing anything. So then I take it into the closet where he always says he's seeing this thing come out of. And of course it lights up like a Christmas tree. And I try to rationalize it away, but at this point, like I said, we're all just so creeped out. And this has gone on for nearly a year at this point. So we end up contacting a priest. And, you know, he's telling us that sometimes dark spirits or evil things can attach themselves to objects. He's asking us, you know, if we brought anything new into the house. I mentioned the doll. I mentioned that, you know, people in my family have said creepy things have happened where this doll is surrounded, but I mean, I don't really know, you know? So he does recommend me giving him the doll so that he can dispose of it properly. So we make arrangements to do that. Then he asked me if Lawson is calling this thing by any specific name. And I'm like, he is actually. He calls this thing Bow. And he goes, well, there is actually a demon. And I don't want to say his name because he told me that, you know, names hold power. But there is a powerful demon and his name is Baal. And he has like a thing for firstborn male children, all of this stuff. And it creeped me out so bad, learning the information about this demon. I just can't tell you how unsettling it was. We get rid of the doll. We pass the doll off to the priest. He gives us some very specific instructions on very specific things to say and do around our house. He has us open a Bible to a very specific passage and then place this open Bible in the closet and leave it there. And eventually things do calm down. He starts sleeping a little better at night. He's not talking about it every day. But even still to this day, if things have gotten better, he doesn't mention it, but he still won't sleep in that room without somebody with him. He's nearly 7. He's just turned 7 at this point and wants somebody still to sleep in bed with him and help him fall asleep. And if you even mention the name Bow or Baal, he freaks out. We're all still shaken up by it. But anyway, so yeah, that's our creepy ghost story.
This is a picture of the claw hand on her husband's shoulder while her husband was holding her son's hand. No, thank you. Some people said that they could see a face, like they could see the face because the son said it was that thing like doing that, which that gives me chills. But some people are saying they could see that in the picture. I can't see that in the picture. She said she couldn't either, but she really didn't want to look. Do you guys see it? Let me know if you see it. Then she had this where apparently her son had like one of those wake up clocks where green means it's okay for him to get out of bed. It's time. She goes in and she's like, hey, why are you still in bed, buddy? Like the light's green. You can get up. He says, because the shadow by my bed told me not to. This is the heat signature thing. I think this is like the filter, the TikTok filter that she was using where it shows where someone should be based on like a heat signature. And this is in the closet that her son said that's where the thing came from. And this is the doll. No, 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 no.